Good morning. Welcome to Time in His Word. Tax day. Ain't this a fun day to look forward to? Did you get your taxes done and turned in time, or do you got to file for extension? I remember the post office. I don't know if they still do. I imagine they do. I don't know. They used to be able to mail your tax returns in like on the 16th, and they would post date them for the 15th, give you an extra day. But think about it. We've had since the end of January to get their taxes all done up and pay up with what we owe. Hopefully we get a refund or we break even. But how many have got them done? I imagine there's quite a few, because they're, extensions or people like, I'm not paying, blah, blah, blah. But what I want to get at this morning is we have a date, and we know when we have to have our taxes turned in, and the amount, if we owe, we know when we have to have it paid by. But yet, many aren't finished in. Many put it off. Many file for an extension, or they try to wiggle out of paying what's due in the form of taxes to the government. Yeah, we can all agree that they misuse the money. They spend it on frivolous things. We all have a better idea of how to spend and save our money, but we live in a society, and one of the rules is we pay taxes to support the government and the services it offers. But my question for you this morning is, have you prepared for where you're going to spend eternity? Now, we don't have a date or a time that we have to make that decision by, but we do know eventually we'll have to make that decision, and if not, by inaction, the decision will be made for us. In other words, if we accept Christ as our personal Savior and follow Him in baptism, we're going to go to heaven. If we don't, the other option is hell. That's it. So, we don't have a date and time, but we know a decision has to be made at some time. In John the 14th chapter, this is one of my favorite verses, and I think what I like about it is the promise that is made. So if I do my best to live as Christ-like as possible, I'm human, I fail, I have days where I blow it, days where you probably wouldn't even recognize that I'm a Christian. I let the events of the day dictate my actions. I'm remorseful, and I beg for forgiveness after I realize what I've done, but I'm human. I'm not. There's only one, as a good friend of mine likes to say, there's only one that's walked on water, and you're not the one. So in John the 14th chapter, the first 3 verses, and like I said, this is such a huge promise. I love this passage. Do not let your heart be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many dwelling places. If it were not so, I would have told you. For I go to prepare a place for you. If I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. That's such a great promise. And many before me and many after me will hang on tightly to that promise, because we know we have a place prepared for us in heaven. But like I said, we have to make that choice. The choice can't be made for us. And so much like how we put off paying our taxes or filing our taxes and filing for an extension, this decision, we don't know the due date. We don't know the time that'll be say, all right, you're finished. We don't know that. So we're playing on borrowed time in a sense. We can't file an extension. We just have to make that decision. And another passage that goes along with this real well is in 2 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, verse 1. For we know that if the earthly tent, which is our house, is torn down, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in heaven. So Think about that today. We knew when our taxes was done. Some of us got them done. Some of us will file for an extension and so forth. We know we have to make a decision regarding where we're going to spend eternity. And that decision and that choice is ours and ours alone to make. The problem is we don't have a deadline. We don't know when time ends for us. So the longer you put it off, you're living on borrowed time if you're not confident and know for sure where you're going to spend eternity. So if you've not made that decision, a couple questions come to mind is, why have you not made that decision? What's holding you back from making that decision? Maybe you think the Christian lifestyle is dull and boring. I think not. But then I grew up in the church, and I've seen how the world lives. We all see that through daily interaction with people. And while at times it looks great and pleasurable and fun, the downside's not. I think I prefer the life I've chosen. But again, that's the choice that only you can make. So can't file an extension, can't ask for more time. We don't know when time's going to end, but when are you going to make that decision if you haven't made it? And if you have made it, remember what chapter John 14 says. In my place, He's made a dwelling place, and He's going to come and receive us unto Him. Ain't that an awesome promise to rely on, to live on, to think about? And know that your place in eternity is secure.